Sidney Prescott, Generation X's entry into the Scream Queen category. This is the final girl who refused to die, an exceptional character who not only brought in a great film series, also really rejuvenated and redefined the slasher films. Now, Sidney's entire psychology, frame-wise, is built on betrayal and grief, her mother's murder, and her town's obsession with it. It bursts her trauma. But unlike other horror heroines who passively endure, Sidney's psyche doesn't shatter. It actually hardens. She endures distrust, forming emotional armor that makes her both an empathetic person, but also very detached. She learns early that love can literally kill you, so she has this complex core that's built on abandonment and also high levels of betrayal. She believes that the people closest to her will either die or try to destroy her. That's a tough place to be, and she's usually right within that. And she is the victor to survivor myth on all levels. Across the Scream series from 1996 all the way to Scream 5 in 2022, Sidney's identity morphed from this sacred teen to this self-aware avenger. She becomes this self-reliant, aware genre that she lives in, this metatextual consciousness that mirrors trauma survivors that can constantly scan for danger. She's literally genre aware because trauma rewires her brain to anticipate these patterns of threat. By Scream 3, she's living in seclusion, guarding her home with security systems and a gun. She is a modern day fairy tale of Rapunzel, trapped by the villains but also by her own hypervigilance. She isn't paranoid without cause, but she's always right because the evil always comes back. Like, this is cyclical. So when she says, I don't trust anyone, that's not even cynicism. This is just straight strategic logic. She's in this gendered battlefield. Her psychological war is also about female autonomy in a male-dominated narrative of control. Each Ghostface is a manifestation of this patriarchal rage. Ex-boyfriends, fanboys, men obsessed with her story. Her life becomes a theater for people who have all these various psychoses, but her refusal to die is rebellion against both the narrative and these societal expectations. The woman who lives despite being made into a symbol. And she's not just the final girl in the movie. She's the defiant muse. You don't get to rewrite my ending is ultimately what she screams defiantly. She also bears like this massive survival's guilt and emotional exhaustion. She's seen so many of her friends die, a lot of them dying for her. She exhibits these long-term PTSD patterns: isolation, avoidance, guilt over survival, and difficulty trusting anyone outside of her small circle, which is basically Dewey and Gale now. But unlike a typical horror survivor who crumbles, Sidney actually channels her trauma into purpose. She protects others, transference. If she can help others live, her suffering gains some kind of meaning or more meaning. And she's calm under pressure in a way that shows that she's got this disassociative control. Trauma survivors often are able to be like eerily calm under crisis, which is a coping mechanism and not really just confidence. Now, she is the eternal survivor, and in mythological sense, she represents this phoenix. She burns, she dies symbolically, and she rises again each time. Each Ghostface resurrection is a psychological crucible. Her survival crosses decades, turning her something more than just a human. She becomes this, cultural archetype of true endurance. By the later films, the killers aren't even trying to kill her for personal reasons. They're really just chasing the myth of Sidney because she identifies the idea of survival itself. Now, what she does is she is what happens when trauma meets this intelligence and self-awareness. She is very genre literate and emotionally scarred, but yet she remains, rooted in empathy, which is her true strength. And her psychology reflects the evolution of the horror genre itself, moving from a helpless damsel to an empowered survivor to a living legend. And Sidney Prescott is the psychological embodiment of postmodern trauma, aware of the script, fully refusing to be written by it.